This is the Overwatch 2 game director actually addressing some of the issues with the game right now and giving insight into things they're working on and what are the top priorities for the development team. Now, this is from Aaron Keller. Now, I'm going to just straight up say this at the top of the video, guys. It's not a massive post, but what is good news here is they are committing to give these updates more frequently. Now, I know they've said this in the past. I know they've gone around and gone, hey, we're going to talk more and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And then they end up not doing it, or they do it for a few weeks and then they just give up. Now, I think the key thing here is keeping the community up to date as to what is actually going on with future content, with things the team are working on and stuff like that is more critical than things like, here is a blog talking about the way we made the concept art for the Junker Queen Mythic skin. Now, that is good content, don't get me wrong, but it isn't exactly headline content that a lot of the community are going to jump on board. Now, what I'm not saying is stop doing that, Blizzard. Don't. Keep doing that because it gives great insight into the way the game is developed, and it lets other developers talk about the aspects that they work on, you know, inside of the game, which is really good stuff. But what we're always moaning about when it comes to this critical communication from Blizzard, we often feel like we don't know what's going on. Now, we shouldn't know everything that's going on, let's be real. But we need to know if this is an issue and everybody keeps talking about it and we're talking about it for a long, long time and Blizzard might even acknowledge that issue and then they don't do anything about it or they don't sort of make their plans known. And I know there's a whole load of issues with this because if Blizzard say they're going to do X and then they don't do X, they do Y, the community will dogpile them for not doing X because they've done Y. So I get this is difficult, but the key thing here is they are going to start talking to us more, right? That is the main thing, and that is the thing I want you guys to take away from this. However, there are some, well, pretty decent bits of information in this, so let's just break this all down. Hi, everyone. This piece is aimed at looking at some of the topics that have come up in the community over the course of Season 2. This won't be comprehensive enough to look at everything that players are talking about, but our intent is to do this every few weeks. So we will be able to start diving into smaller topics as we go. Also, the goal here is to keep you up to date on what we're thinking and planning, but not necessarily to be the source for all of the reasoning and detail behind those decisions. Now, that opening paragraph, I think is absolutely fantastic because what that does is it sets expectations for what this is going to be. And I think the key takeaway here is, you know, he straight up says, the goal here is to keep you up to date on what we're thinking and what we're planning. And that is critical because it feels terrible when we kind of don't know what's going on. You know, like I said, we don't need to know everything that's going on. But if there's major balance issues, if there's a massive issue with competitive, for example, and other issues that, you know, are in the game, it would be nice if Blizzard acknowledged it and then said, hey, we're going to do this, rather than just going about their work, sort of fixing it behind the scenes and not really telling us what they're doing. So this is really good, guys. Honestly, I think that is a really good opening statement. I just hope they keep to it. I'll be very disappointed if they cannot keep to this commitment to do this every few weeks. So he talks about competitive. The new ranked mode suffers from poor comprehension. There was confusion around players' real rank and how that translated to their skill level, difficulty forming groups with friends, and a negative impression of the matchmaker when players of different ranks were put in the same match, even if their skill levels were similar. We will be implementing some changes in Season 3 and quite a few more in Season 4, all aimed at creating more clarity in the system. More details on short-term changes and long-term vision will be coming soon, TM. Right then, what does this mean? Well, this is something I have covered a ton and loads of other people have covered it. I'm sure you guys are aware of what's been going on with the matchmaker and with ranked and all of that stuff. So let's look at an example of what is going on here with the matchmaker, with ranked, and why it feels bad. So you could take a player that is in platinum. That player actually has a hidden matchmaking rating. Every player's got this. That rating is what's used to build the game, not the displayed rank. Okay, now the displayed rank could be diamond, could be platinum, could be master. You could end up in a game with other players where their displayed rank might be lower than your displayed rank, but they've got the same or very similar MMR. That's why the game has been built, because they are players of equal skill. Now, of course, the problem is if you are in platinum and you're like, why have I got a gold on my team? What is this? That makes you instantly negative, and it just starts killing your experience of the game, even though that player who is gold might actually have the same MMR as you. It's all very convoluted. It's probably the best example I can give you guys. This is something they need to sort out. It causes a lot of frustration for players. Players don't want to feel like they are playing with other players that are maybe not as good as them, even though they actually might be, and they probably are, but their displayed rank isn't. So there is definitely an issue with the way MMR functions and the way that SR functions, and also the way that your displayed rank functions. And to be honest, guys, it confuses me. So hopefully they sort this and they make this a lot more clear as to what division and what rank players are, and make it more closely match their actual skill rating, which is their MMR, not their SR, which is used to build games. But good news, right? This is good news that they are looking at competitive, and we're going to get apparently more detail on this fairly soon, so I can't wait to see that. He also speaks about progression and rewards. We've gotten feedback from players that the game doesn't feel rewarding enough to play, and that players can't earn the items they want in a short enough period of time. We'll be making a change in Season 3 that should address some of these complaints. This is a first step. We will have more details to share about this next week. Okay, so this is, again, one of these setting expectations kind of things where they're saying, like, look, we know that the rewards are not great. We know that it might take a bit of a long time to unlock what you want. So we're going to make some changes, but they're only going to be very small changes, and it's a first step. I don't know what this could be, to be honest. I think, like, you know, most likely if there's future titles in future seasonal sort of limited time modes, it probably won't be 300 killing blows. It might be 300 eliminations, or it might be 150 killing blows, so they reduce it down. It could be something like that they do. I mean, you could see things like making it... this would never happen, but making it easier to progress through the battle pass. I can't see that happening because they want that to be intentionally difficult or time-consuming to go through. But at least they're addressing this, right? At least he's saying, look, I mean, so far in this video, he's gone, right, we know rewards are not great, guys, so we're going to try and do something about that. We know ranked doesn't feel great, and we're going to try and sort that out. And we're also going to talk to you more. So they're good things to talk about, right? So this is actually, you know, I quite like this. It is making me a bit more upbeat around Overwatch 2. He then goes on to talk about the ultimate nerf coming in. So he says there's a fair number of changes to ult cost coming in Season 3. We'll be lowering the ult refund when swapping heroes to 25% as part of this tuning pass. Now, I thought they probably would have done more than that because it's 30% at the moment. And remember, you know, when a tank... I'm going to explain this again, but it's going to drive me crazy. But when a tank versus tank on a first point goes into fight each other, the defensive tank, if it wins, then you would think that that team has got the advantage. But because you retain ult when you swap hero, the other team's tank can then swap hero, right, to then counter that tank. And the example I gave was, imagine if you've got a Winston on defense and you were playing, I don't know, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be like a Junk Queen. It could be like a Zarya. You play basically playing a tank in, which didn't do too well against the Winston. And then you're like, well, I'm just going to play Hog and destroy this Winston. So Winston kills you. You go back to spawn. You swap to Hog. You've still kept some of your ultimate charge. You go forward. You hard counter the Winston because he won't have his ultimate available for the next fight. Very unlikely that he will. So then you kill him, and then, yeah, you've kind of got the advantage there. Then he needs to swap, and then it goes into this whole world of tanks just literally swapping to counter each other, or they're just playing Hog against each other, or just playing Orisa against each other. But yeah, 25% reduction is very small. I mean, it's literally 5%. Sorry, not a 25% reduction. It's a 5% reduction to 25, down from 30. So maybe they'll tweak this a bit more in the future, but yeah, we'll wait and see. He then talks about balance frequency. So he says this is a big topic. Bug fixes to hot fixing should enable us to address balance faster and would have enabled us to tune Hog earlier in Season 2. We're still planning an initial and mid-season patch each season, but now have the full ability to fill in between those as necessary. So this is an admission that they literally could not patch the game because the hot fixing system was broken in Season 2, and this is why Hog remained as stupid as he did for so long. Sojourn took ages to get any kind of change to it, although Sojourn is still really good, and the nerfs did nothing to Sojourn, but whatever. So yeah, this is, again, good, but it would have been nice to have, you know, it would have been nice if they were shouting this from the rooftop a few weeks ago, going, guys, we can't fix this because it's bugged. Now, there's probably other implications to that, because if there is something which is game-breaking or something going on, maybe there's an exploit, Blizzard don't want to say, we can't actually fix that because we can't update this part of our game, which might be interacting with that. So we need to keep quiet about that. And we just need to take the hits when it comes to everyone shouting about the balance of the game. So this is good news. And this is him saying, look, we're going to do hot fixes more often, which is good. And also do the big start of season patch and then a mid-season patch, but also hopefully a bunch of patches in between to fix whatever is going on in the meta and with the game. And then finally, he talks about one-shots, which I think is kind of interesting. So he says one-shots and frustrating hero mechanics are being discussed a lot in the community and on the team. This is an ongoing discussion, but the topic has a lot of nuances that involve the frequency of those mechanics, trade-offs for using it, the overall power level of a hero, how often the hero is played, as well as things like a hero's fantasy. Now, know that we're listening here. The feedback has been great and very welcome, and we'll come back to this when we have more to share. So that is really interesting. So that might be sort of priming the community for them going to make certain changes to the way certain heroes play. So heroes with one-shots, maybe your Widowmaker gets looked at. Obviously, Roadhog has been nerfed with his one-shot recently because it was frustrating. He was the tank hero. You couldn't kill him. He could hook you and instantly kill you. It didn't feel great. Things like Batiste Lamp, that can kind of feel frustrating when he throws it down. Things like Kiriko's Suzu can feel frustrating. Even things like Mercy Res. You kill someone, then Mercy Res is the target. It's like, oh, it feels a bit frustrating. So there's all these issues, right? Now, it's going to be interesting to see what they do going forward with those, the idea of one-shots and frustrating hero mechanics and trying to reduce them in the game. Because in some cases, in fact, I think the Mercy Res example is a good example. Because if Mercy reses a target, you could argue that you've allowed her to res that target. Now, there are times where Mercy can be safe, round a corner, breaking line of sight, and get the res off. In which case, well, yeah, it's a good res by Mercy, but you couldn't really do anything about it. In other cases, you can kill the Mercy if she's out in the open, she's gone for a hero res. You know, it's the same with Batiste Lamp. He can throw the lamp down, you need to shoot the lamp, but that's the issue, right? You want to kill the player, you don't want to shoot the lamp. And we've been over this, and it's like beating a dead horse at this point. We've done it over and over again, talking about things like lamp and frustrating abilities like hook and whatever. But it's good to see that the development team are actually discussing that, and it looks to be one of their priorities. And what I would take away from all of this, guys, is I think what we've been given here is just that, a list of priorities from the game director, a list of things that are at the sort of top of the list, I guess, of what the development team are looking at. Probably, hopefully, they're looking at PvE as the absolute high-end thing they're all working on. But when it comes to the game that we're playing at the moment, it looks like these are the main things that they're trying to address. And I think this is all good. All right, guys, thank you for listening and watching the video. If you enjoyed it, then do like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below. And I just hope that they manage to stick to this every couple of weeks, giving us sort of behind-the-scenes updates as to the things that the development team are actually working on, because I think that could be really cool for the future of the game. All right, guys, catch you on the next one. See you soon.